Review problem. We have Carroll Corporation on December 31st, 2011 contains the following accounts and balances: common stock 180, retained earnings 120, dividends 100, service revenue 1100, rent expense 300, wages expense 400, telephone expense 100, income tax expense 50. Compute the net income, that's the first part, and prepare the statement of retained earnings for the month of December. So the first part is to compute the net income, right? Okay, and why do we need to compute the net income first?
It's part of the equation.
Because you need what? You need the net profit from the company to be able to actually create the statement of retained earnings, right? So you need the profitability of the company, okay? So what you first have to do is you have to figure out what of these items in this problem go into calculating the net income. So of all those things that I just said, what are the things that are part of net income, calculating the net income? What do we start with when we start our income statement? Go ahead, Danny.
For net income, you need revenues and expenses.
Okay, so we are going to start with our service revenue. And that was 1100. We don't have to be fancy. That's not asking you to fill in a form. And then what are my expenses? So this is our revenue. And then we have our expenses. What are my expenses in this problem?
Rent expense.
Okay, rent expense.
300.
And that's 300.
Wages expense is 400. Telephone expense is 100. And income tax expense is 50.
Okay. And technically we would do a subtotal here, okay, but just for argument's sake, we'll just do this all like this because we're just doing it fast. Like if we were doing a regular income statement, okay, we would do a subtotal and we would get the operating profit and yada yada. Okay, and you said income tax expense was how much?
50.
50. Okay, so what does that come out to be? Is that all of my expenses? Rent, wages, telephone, income tax. Good. Okay, 1100. So it's 1100 minus 300 minus 400 minus 100 minus 50. So it's really okay. So I got 250 is my net income. Is that what you guys got? Good. Awesome. Very, very good. Okay. And then we have to do our retained earnings. So what's the formula for retained earnings?
Beginning retained earnings plus net income minus dividends equals the ending.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay. So my beginning retained earnings, they said in this problem, was 120. Right? And then our net income is 250. And our dividends, they said 100. So our ending is 270. Okay? So that's what you should have got. Does that make sense? It does. I like that. I like that. Does it make sense to everybody, including Kellen, in addition to Kellen?
Yes,
Okay.
Miss McGrath.
Good. All right. That's very awesome. What's that? Then we got that on the recording now, too. Yes, Mrs. McGrath.
Sure.
All right. So, any other questions on the homework? No? None? Alrighty. All right, so then let's move on. We need to move on to some problems here. Hopefully the problems will illustrate some of the stuff from the notes last night. You guys, nobody had any questions on any of the things in the notes? Oh, good. Thank you very much. What'd you say, Emily? Oh, okay. All right. Good point. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Okay. So one other item. We talked briefly about the field trip last class. briefly about the field trip last class, and so many of you expressed concerns about doing it on a BD day. Okay, so I did go back to them, and they had conference room issues, so but they said they'll have us go in a different room. They're going to do it on Friday the 15th. So the day after we were talking about. We were talking about the 14th of April. We're going to do Friday the 15th. Say what?
What letter day is that?
It's our day.
Okay.
It's our day. That's why I switched it, because a lot of people expressed concerns about it being on a BD day. They would miss more classes and stuff like that. So, say what? Is that okay?
What?
This graph, there we
Which
go.
graph does that mean? Oh wait, it don't work. I don't have to see it.
Right.
No, there we go. There's a graph.
We're going to Sunmark Federal Credit Union. It's in Latham. It's in Latham, so it's a short process. So I put in yesterday for the field trip request. So as soon as I get the approval back, which hopefully is going to be okay, you know, then I'll give you guys permission forms. Yes, Dylan.
We can go inside the vault.
I don't think they bring us in the vault. Yeah.
Okay.
8:30 till we'll leave there at 1:30. So, yeah. So, all day. Yeah. Okay. And honestly, it's like I said before, really good field trip. I know you guys are thinking, oh my God, snooze fest, blah, blah, blah. I promise you will like this field trip. And I never lie. I never lie. I don't. I don't.
I don't know
Okay.
that wasn't a lie.
Say what? What wasn't a lie? I don't. I'm just not good at it, so why bother? See, some people like master the art of it. It becomes part of their life. I can't do it.
See, strict parents raise good liars.
No, because my parents, I would bet you,
Strict parents raise good liars.
I would bet you anything, my parents were way more strict than yours are.
Okay, every parent raises this argument, but you also raised not in the 21st century with telephones and things, so.
All right. So if anybody notices a significant dip in Nick's grade point average for the third quarter, don't wonder why. Okay. All right. So we're going to work on some problems here. I'm going to start with problems SE2 and go from there. Okay. On page 165. Yeah, we got a lot of problems, so we got Boogie. Boogie. We are not. Not. Sorry. I should have told Miss, what's her name? Oh, well. I know. Trust me, I know. She confuses me with her confusion. So, all right. So here we are. So here we're learning about the different types of adjusting entries. And we learned in the screencast that there are 4 quadrants for adjusting entries, okay? And there are adjusting entries that relate to deferrals. And those are what quadrants? Does anybody remember? First and third. Very good. And then there are adjusting entries relating to accruals. Does anybody remember what the difference is between an accrual and a deferral?
Accrual, like, that's the one when it hasn't paid, but it's recorded.
Okay, cash has not changed hands, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's recorded as a sale, or but they haven't received everything. So
Right. We may not have recorded it yet, so that's why we're doing the adjusting entry to record it. Okay. Whereas with a deferral, cash has already changed hands. Okay. So that's the big difference. So we're deferring the recognition of that revenue. So think of that unearned revenue. We've talked about unearned revenue a couple of times, right? And we get in that cash, we debit cash, and we credit unearned revenue, right? And we have a liability. Why do we have that liability? We used it with the example of Brianna painting the portrait of Dylan. So he gives her a deposit. Okay, she gets a deposit. Does she owe him something? Yeah, she owes him something. So that's why she's got a liability. So have we recognized any revenue associated with that yet? No, because she hasn't painted the portrait yet. Okay? Then, so we've got this. So we're deferring. Do you guys know what the definition of deferring means? Yeah. To put it off, right? Okay, deferring the recognition of that revenue until a later period. Okay, so we're deferring it, hence it creates a deferral. Okay, so but right now we're going to start with an adjusting entry for prepaid insurance. So the prepaid insurance account, oops. Okay, so now we're moving on to SE3. SE3, we're looking at the supplies account, and it began the year with a balance of $380. So let's just do the math first. We began the year with $380. Okay, and during the year we bought supplies in the amount of $980. So that means we would add $980 to it. And at the end of the year, the balance on hand was $440. So what we had left over was $440. So prepare the year-end adjusting entry to show how much basically the supplies were used up during the year. So we would take our $380 balance, we added $980, and our ending balance was $440. So therefore we used up of this amount, we used up 920 of it, so that our ending balance, this is our ending balance, was 440. So we used up 920 of the total amount that was purchased. So the journal entry for that would be, again, are we dealing with December 31st. Oh, these lines are very bad. Okay, December 31st, and it would be supplies expense. Told you I do not like these working papers. 920, and then our supplies balance went down by 920. Okay, does that make sense? Moving along, we're going to do depreciation, the adjustment for depreciation. The depreciation expense on office equipment for the month of March is $100. This is the third month of that office equipment, which costs $1,900 and has been owned. Prepare the adjusting entry to record the depreciation for March and show the balance sheet presentation for the office equipment and the related accounts after the March 31st adjustment. Okay, so there are two things that they're looking for in this particular transaction. They're looking for the journal entry, that is the adjustment to record the actual depreciation expense. And then they're asking you to show the balance sheet presentation of the net book value of the asset after the depreciation. But how many months worth are they saying after how many months worth of depreciation? 3. Okay, so that would imply that they're talking about 3 $100 amounts for depreciation. Okay, so if we had the value of the book, the cost was $1,900, and it's been depreciated $100 for 3 months. So $100 for January, $100 for February, $100 for March. Oops, I wasn't recording this. So, if our wages are paid on Saturday for a 6-day work week, and wages are currently running $1,300 and $1,380 per week, how much is it per day that our wages are? It's $1,380 per week. How much is it per day? divided by what?
7.
No. 6. It's divided by 6 because it says we have a 6-day work week. Okay? So it's 1,380 divided by 6. So it's $230 per day of wages. So that's the first part. So break this down for yourselves, guys, okay? Break the problem down. Prepare the adjusting entry required on June 30th, assuming July 1st falls on a Tuesday. Okay? So prepare the adjusting entry on June 30th, assuming July 1st falls on a Tuesday. So how many days when are we getting paid? When does it say we get paid? We're going to get paid on Saturday. Okay? So if we do this as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? We get paid on Saturday. This is going to be June 30th. This is going to be July 1st. Okay? So how many days are we working in June until we get paid in July? No? 2. Okay? Okay? So, alright. So, we're going to basically here in this particular problem, I'm sorry, we get paid on Saturday. My bad. I messed up. It's 1 day. It's not 2, because I was thinking it was Friday. I didn't pay attention to myself. Okay, so back up. We're working 1 day in June. Okay? So we're going to get paid on Saturday. So we're working 1 day in June. So we've got to record the adjusting entry for wages for June 30th. So we have wages expense of $230 for the 1 day, and wages payable of $230. Now, why do I say that? Because we have this 1 day, this day here, of this whole pay week. So this whole pay week, okay, 1 day has to be associated with June. But we're not going to actually pay it out until this Saturday here. So of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, one of the days is associated with June and the rest are associated with July. So we would have to make sure we're matching revenue and expenses, we would have to show the 5 days for July's expenses and the 1 day for June's expenses. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. Because the last day we got paid was Saturday. Okay, so we have 5 days in July, 1 day in June. So we have to accrue for the June 30th expense. Oh, God. You conked out on me too. An unearned revenue adjustment. So during the month of August, deposits in the amount of $1,100 were received for services to be performed. So how much money do we receive in August? $1,100. So for services to be performed, by the end of the month, services in the amount of $760 had been performed. Prepare the necessary adjustments for service revenue at the end of the month. So first thing, if you think about it, we have to do an adjusting entry for the unearned revenue to recognize that unearned revenue. But what happened when we received that cash? We debited cash for $1,100. And we don't write this. This is just figuring it out. This is not the answer. I'm trying to show you how to figure it out. Okay? So we received $1,100. So what would the journal entry look like? Debit to cash $1,100, and credit to unearned revenue of $1,100. That's when we received the cash at the beginning of the month. So this is like August 1st. Now we're at the end of the month, and we actually earned $760 of this. So of this amount that we received in cash, we now earned $760. So now we've got to adjust for that. The way that we adjust for that is we do adjusting entry at the end of August, so August 31st, and we're going to debit the unearned revenue for the $760, and we're going to credit the service revenue for the same amount to reflect that we've earned that $760.